Hey everyone, this is McKeown. I'm a real estate agent and investor in Dallas, Texas. Here to talk to you today about investing with your VA loan. So I personally have been a licensed real estate agent for about 3 years. I purchased my first investment property just about 3 years ago today. And I got into real estate investing even prior before getting my license. Been investing in real estate for 3 years, but knowledge-wise, about 4.5. So first and foremost, I want to make a disclaimer here that the numbers I'm going to talk about in this video are relative to an investment I made 3 years ago in the Dallas area, as well as an investment I made about a year ago. These are market dependent. Every single market's going to be different. You could find much better numbers than these. You could find much worse numbers than these. It's obviously going to depend on where you live. Also, another disclaimer, the decisions that I've made with my VA loan are a little different now with the changes in VA loans for 2020. You were actually able to use your VA loan twice before, which you can still do, but there's some ramifications and a little bit of different rules now with the no limit on VA loans that started in 2020. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into things with my purchase. My first purchase 3 years ago was in the North Dallas area. It was a duplex. This was my first purchase, period. I had never bought a house before, and I jumped in using my VA loan and purchased a duplex. That duplex itself already had a tenant in one side, and I immediately went in, lived in the other side, and rented out the 2 other rooms. The other investment that I made roughly about a year ago. It was a fourplex. I'll go into my story a little bit more to how I went from duplex to fourplex. I actually purchased another house in the middle of these 2 investments, but a year ago, again, I used my VA loan, purchased a fourplex. This was on the west side of Dallas. I actually had 1 vacant unit there, moved into that, and I'm actually still currently living there. The duplex was rented on one side for $1,400 with an existing tenant. The 2 other rooms I rented out for $600 a piece, so I was returning about $2,600 in gross rent every single month. To give you an idea, my mortgage alone was less than $2,000. So just with rent coming in from the 2 roommates and the other side's rent, I was already cash flowing positive and living for free. So fast forward 3 years, I still own the duplex. I've had a couple tenants in there that have gone in and out outside of the individual that I had to evict. And now I'm fortunate to have 2 tenants, 2 families on both sides of the duplex that probably will stay there for many, many years to come. I purchased the property in the summer of 2017 for $285,000. Initially, I had $2,800 in gross rent, if you have $1,400 per side. I've been fortunate enough to increase the rent now to a gross rent of $3,200 a month. All in principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, my total mortgage cost comes to $1,900 a month. At the end of every single month, I'm pulling $1,300 above my mortgage on that particular duplex. Now, obviously, you have to account for repairs, vacancy, CapEx, but a lot of the cash flow that I've gotten the last couple years have actually gone to repairing any and all needed issues. So my duplex was a great stepping stone to my next investment. I was fortunate enough and able to purchase the next investment rather quickly, within about 9 months of purchasing my duplex, because I was able to hop from a multifamily to a single family. And that single family I actually lived in for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, before I moved into my next investment property that I'm going to be talking about, which is my fourplex. On my fourplex, the negotiations were one of the reasons that sealed the deal. I was able to get a brand new roof. I was able to get over $15,000 worth of foundation work done, which if you're in the state of Texas, if you're purchasing a house in the state of Texas, you should be well aware that foundation issues will happen. And to have this foundation company come out, redo the entire foundation, and have it covered with a lifetime transferable warranty made this an easy decision to move forward with. My fourplex units are 2-bed, 1-bath units that are 700 and some change square feet. 2 of the units when I purchased the property were actually updated to today's standards. Modern, turnkey, 1 of them I moved into. The other 2, 1 is still standing. The tenant's been in there since I purchased. The other, I had a tenant move out in January, and I was able to renovate that whole unit to be similar and updated to today's standards to get as much rent as possible. Now, I would check with your local mortgage broker to really see the legalities and whether or not this is still attainable now with the rule changes in VA loans starting in 2020. But again, this was 2019 and there was a VA loan limit, meaning that you only have a certain amount of allotment with your VA loan before you have to actually put money down. Prior to 2020, the VA loan actually had an entitlement limit. In the Metroplex that I'm in, it's about $510,000. So what that means is if you're purchasing a house, a single family house, a multifamily house, or if you have more than one VA loan out and you're using it again, if you go over that $510,000, you're gonna have to put a down payment on any overage of that amount. I purchased my duplex for $285,000. I then went and purchased a fourplex for $370,000. So total, I was well above the $510,000 VA loan limit entitlement. So how that works with my VA loan, I was $145,000 over my entitlement. That does not mean I needed to put $145,000 down. Any overage on a VA loan limit, you have to put 25% down. So I came to closing with about $40,000 in order to cover that overage. One thing that was a substantial difference with this fourplex versus my duplex was the amount of work that was going to be needed. I have owned it for about 9 months now and I've not really put any money into it outside of updating one of the units. I knew that replacing the roof, fixing the foundation, and having 2 and now 3 updated units, there was really no expense that I was going to have to make. Unlike my duplex, I've been constantly updating and making it a little bit nicer so I could get more rent. Rents on this fourplex were actually in the 600s a couple years back and have grown to be about low 800s all the way up to high 900s. My 3 total rents as we speak are $875, $920, and $975. So total gross rent of almost $2,800 currently, and that's with me living in 1 unit. Hope and expectation with this fourplex at the end of the year is to gross as close to $4,000 a month in rent as possible. If I were to move out right now, we're close to $3,800. Obviously, that does not factor in any repairs. It does not factor in any vacancy. It doesn't factor in a lot of different expenses, but what it does factor in is the largest expense of all of them, and that's gonna be your mortgage, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So to combine these 2 investment properties that I've obtained over the last 3 years, my duplex and my quad, I'm paying about $4,000 a month in principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. However, due to putting a lot of money back into these 2 properties, as well as purchasing them at the right price and making sure that all the large ticket items are addressed, I'm returning over $7,000 a month in rent. These 2 particular properties that I've purchased in the last 3 years are now bringing in over $3,000 a month in profit. Now, if you multiply that by 12 months, you can see the impact that these 2 investment properties are able to put in my life. So to recap, invest, don't invest, I mean, that's completely up to you. It was a risk that I was willing to take, and it's a risk that's paid off tremendously in my life. Obviously, being in the world of real estate, I do have a lot of knowledge. I understand whether a property makes sense, whether it doesn't make sense, and that's when it comes into play where you really need to hire a real estate agent that knows what he's doing, but not just knows what he's doing, but also understands investments. And I personally know and understand investments because I'm investing in real estate myself. If you're watching this video and you're not local to the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you're looking to invest using your VA loan or just looking to invest, period, make sure to leave a comment down below and I can help get you connected with an investor-related real estate agent locally to you. And to tie everything together, I just want to give 3 tips that I've learned over the last 3 years investing in real estate. I think number 1, you need to have a fine mix of being an individual person, but also understanding that you're running a business and this is your investment. I have been a mixture of far too lenient and far too strict on certain tenants and situations that over the last 3 years I've learned a lot and have come to the realization that tenants are still individuals. Tenants are still people. These are houses that they still need to live in. And if you have a great relationship with your tenant, those are tenants that are going to stay and remain there for years to come. The second tip that I have is don't over improve a property if the rents in the areas are not supporting it. I updated a unit in my fourplex probably a little bit too much. Now, granted, I'm not gonna probably spend any money in that unit for the foreseeable future, but I definitely over-improved that unit, and no one's gonna be paying above a certain price in the market that my fourplex is in. Now, am I still getting a good return? Yes, but I probably made the improvements a little too much. And the last tip that I have for folks that are looking to invest is do not get emotional. A lot of folks that purchase residential properties as a primary occupant home to move into the traditional route of purchasing your first home or purchasing a house and living in it, they get emotional. They find something that they absolutely love and they're willing to do anything and everything to get it. You cannot be like that when purchasing an investment. As soon as you get emotional, you start making irrational decisions, and that could negatively affect you for years down the road. Thanks for watching. If this video at all whatsoever helped you understand how to utilize and leverage your VA loan for house hacking a duplex or a multifamily, feel free to subscribe down below and stay tuned for weekly vlogs.